my mother started me on piano. See, I'd go to church. I had two churches. I had one in my neighborhood. Actually, I had three churches. I used to teach church on my steps of my house. We had 10 or 12 steps that go up. And when I was taking piano lessons, I put the neighborhood kids on the steps as a choir and run in the house and play piano and then come back out and pray and preach. I mean, as a kid, that was what I did. My mother says at age 4, I would come home and climb up on the piano because my mother's sisters were all, well, they grew up in the South playing in carnivals, so they were musicians. Music has been my whole life. And I must go back and thank my mother and my father for the sacrifices. Believe me, for me to come to Hampton, my mother said, "Who do you think you are?" You know, you can't, you aren't in that class, you know. You don't, Hampton wasn't, well, it was expensive. It would cost my father's salary for a year was my tuition. Now, listen, that's something. And they sacrificed 4 years of doing that. I start reflecting and I have to cry. I have to just be so grateful to my parents. I was literally deposited on this campus by my high school music teacher, who was a Hampton alumnus and a student of our Nathaniel Dett. So she literally drove me, she and her husband, here in her 59 Mercury, 1959 Mercury, and dumped me on the campus. Now, that's how I literally got here. But to be sure, Hampton has been a part of my life my music life since I started studying. Yeah, you didn't take a breath before the verse, did you? Okay, I'm here. Okay. Keep us required to be in Vespers on Sunday night for 1/2 hour. I don't remember the time exactly, 6:30 to 7, or right after you come out of the calf and you go right into, so I met Charles Flax, and he would lead the student body. There are 1,600 of us in Ogden Hall singing Negro spirituals. And luckily my name was Carter, and a C, alphabetically, I was up front. So he heard me. And he grabbed me and he embraced me, took me under his wing, and the rest is history. Oh, we sang spirituals. Growing up in Chattanooga, in Tennessee, or as a youngster doing that. And let me say again, I'm a child of my time because of the times in which I grew up, that I am who I am, or was able to do what I've done, or whatever that is. But it's important. I say that because now there are more people out there doing what I did in this time, but I came along at a time where I know the mark made a difference, I think. And that's frightening. But the time, I'm not ashamed of the time. I came through a segregated time. But what happened is that as even in public school, you had devotions every morning. I don't know, they don't do that, of course, anymore, but we had devotions. And when we sing a Star Spangled Banner or My Country 'Tis a Thee, and lift every voice and sing every morning. And we get a spiritualist thrown in, somebody come, and community sings were a big thing. You know, if you were, for example, I was a Boy Scout, and a Cub Scout, and an Explorer, but we sang campfire sings, you sing around the campfire, and you singing spirituals. During the time I was going to Hampton, and in high school choirs, we would do the same thing. The Battle Hymn of the Republic was the song that we would sing to open a concert or close a concert. It just was one of those things, you know. And as I became my own choir director, I wanted us to have something else because of the times. Okay, the civil rights movement. I mean, I heard Stokely and all kind of people, Carmichael and people in Ogden Hall. We had all kinds of people to come here, and the speakers that, oh God, international speakers and things who encouraged you, who played, who pushed the blackness. So the Lift Every Voice was essential in that. So I decided to program, rather than start my programs with the Battle Hymn, I would do it with the Lift Every Voice. So I needed an arrangement. I thought I needed an arrangement. And honestly, anybody who knows, there were two major arrangements of Battle Hymn of the Republic. And they both started around 42 and 43. And choirs all over the country were singing those, one by Ringwald and one by Will Howsky. And they were very similar. And I found that the text and verses of Lift Every Voice fit that model. I actually borrowed that model of my arrangement from the arrangements of the Battle Hymn that I had learned in junior high school, and it fit very well. 3 verses. That's how I got the arrangement. I did the arrangement, and of course it was premiered in Ogden Hall. The very first performance. It's full circle. I was here. I was trained here. I started my career here. Traveled the nation and abroad with the choir, and then to be able, and here I am after retiring, I'm back to be here. But understand, I didn't do these things by myself. I had much support here at Hampton.
Not only was I secretary to the music department, I was also, Roland was my supervisor for several years in the Department of Music. My role with the choir chaperone, especially with the young ladies, I helped decide on what outfits they would wear when we would go on tour, make sure that they were in place, they were dressed properly, and where they were supposed to be at the time that they were supposed to be there. Because Mr. Carter did not play when he told you to be at a specific place at a specific time. That's what he meant. If you were not there on the bus, you were left. He would always tell students as well as the adults, make sure you have enough money to get back home if you're not on time.
Currently, I am what they call the choir mother. I help set up their tours. I travel with concert choir, and I also help with the, the clothing, whatever, on the tours. You need some needle and thread sometime on the trips, so that's me. Anything else that's going on. The importance of the choir mother is to, especially for the female students in the choir, I'm the only female on the trip as far as university personnel is concerned. So I'm there for them, and then I'm there for the choir as a whole. Pants, legs do rip in the tuxedos. I fix those. Sometimes, because I was a music major, I also help when we practice on the road. I may help with sectionals and things like that. And so, I have the motherly touch on the trips.
Our relationship was a bit different from most, meaning he was my supervisor, but he and I were very close. And there are not very many people that can have a supervisor and know the difference between professionalism and friendship on the job. And he and I were able to deal with those two categories. When we were at work, we were at work. When we were out socializing, we were out socializing.
I called Dr. Carter my dad. I'm very emotional about that, how that happened. I was his student. He was my professor my freshman year because I was a music major. And of course, being a vocal major, I had to be in, at that time it was called college choir. And then my sophomore year, I auditioned and I became a member of concert choir as well as college choir the rest of my time here in undergrad. And after that, when I came back for my first master's in secondary ed music, concentration voice, he was responsible for me being in the chapel every Sunday during the summer because we didn't have a choir in the summer, so I did all the singing. And then our relationship grew over the years. He knew my mother. My mother met him after I became a member of concert choir. When we would travel, she would be there. And then they formed a relationship like a family, and then I formed one like a family also. And after I became the conductor of the Crusaders Male Chorus, which he was the conductor of them in Clark Hall. They had been in existence since 1947 here on the campus. And so that our relationship just built and built and built. Some of us in the choir who were here with me, we call him Pinky because we said he looked like the Pink Panther. So when we were in New York City, he didn't know it, but we went to the store and bought a life-size Pink Panther, and we put it in his seat on the bus, and with a baton in his hand. And we thought he was going to be mad, but he loved it. So we rode around on tour, the rest of the tour, with the Pink Panther sitting up beside him with a baton in his hand. And I think he told me that the Pink Panther might be in New York with his aunt. I think that's where he is now. But he knows when people say Pinky, that's people who were here with me in the choir. That's my first favorite story. My second favorite story is, if you know Dr. Carter, you know he's a perfectionist. And we were on tour in concert choir in New Jersey. And we didn't come in on time on a couple of songs. And Mr. Carter would beat his chest, look at me on stage, and you didn't budge. And so the next day, he was so upset with us, he did not come back with us. We came back with the choir manager, which was at that time, Mr. Emmett Scott. And the next morning, we had choir rehearsal. We had to meet him in Clark Hall in a rehearsal, and you know, everybody was like, "Oh Lord, we in trouble," you know, this kind of thing. I never will forget that. We were like, "Oh my God, he's not coming with us." So that's one of my favorite stories too, also.
A perfectionist? No, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know that I want it right. And if that's what it is, that's it. No, the problem, and you bring me up on something else, another philosophy I have. You know, anybody can sing the notes on the page. You know, they can sing the rhythms correctly, they can sing the notes the rest. But that's not making music.
Yeah.
Music is from within. You know, I tell choirs all the time, boy, you sing all the right notes correctly, and proper, but you didn't say anything. So you have to have something from within. And in order to do that, please know you can't be afraid to walk on the stage, because once you walk on stage and do something, you put a full part of your life and body out there for everybody to see. So people who are inhibited can't do that because they hold back stuff. Artists are people who spill all of themselves on the stage.
Sir, it is an honor for all of us to stand with you today. Here at Hampton, you spoiled us with nearly 24 years of choir leadership. You composed now famous rendition of Lift Every Voice and Sing, which we heard earlier. And that, ladies and gentlemen, has been adopted by choirs across the nation, but I might add, no one sings it like a Hampton. You have been what we would consider the great modern Hampton maestro. Yes. Following in the footsteps of accomplished Hampton Institute choir directors, Thomas Finner, which goes back to the founding of the Hampton Singers, which raised money to raise Virginia Cleveland Hall. Nathaniel Datt, whom we have a hall named after, and Noah Ryder. With your exceptional musical insight and innate ability to inspire and unite diverse voices into our harmonious whole, you have impacted the lives directly of well over 3,000 choir students at Hampton University and thousands of others who have passed through these gates. Your influence is felt amongst choruses and orchestras around the world. You're a thought leader on the performance and the preservation of music of African American traditions and composers. So many of you know, of course, Lift Every Voice and Sing, but others of you also know you must have that true religion, which you'll hear later on, and in bright mansions above. We know you for your heart, for your joy, and for your genius that draws crowds and compels audiences to immerse themselves in an unforgettable music experience. You are a trusted advisor and a noble friend. We are grateful to know you. Dr. Carter, Hampton University applauds your ministry. We are grateful to celebrate you today for your commitment to service, for your passion for the choral arts, and your fervor to excel. If we ever needed a reminder of how to allow our lives to be the singing, which is a part of our alma mater, we've found the quintessential example in you. It is my pleasure, it is my honor to present to you the 2024 Presidential Citizenship Award. Congratulations. Another round of applause. Thank you.
Roland has contributed an awful lot to this institution, not only this institution, but others. In my mind, he's a genius. And this honor, in my mind, here again, should have been bestowed upon him a long time ago. There is no one like Roland Marvin Carter. He's an exceptional young man. Very, very exceptional. Very, very talented.
I feel that Dr. Carter is deserving of this honor because I couldn't think of anyone else. When I think of Hampton choirs, I think of Roland Marvin Carter. He, oh my goodness, between the music he has written and that we have sung and are still singing here, and it's sung all over the world, really, by different people. And just him as a person. Daddy Roland is, wow. When we went in the choir with him, he instilled in us to always be the best. Not mediocre, but the best on stage, our performance. 50% of your performance is how you look, first of all, when you hit the stage. And then, you know, he was very particular about the sounds. He loved Hampton. He loved Mr. Flax. He is Mr. Hampton Choir.
One of my education teachers, Bernice O'Brien, that was in the 60s, and she was doing educational psychology and all of those courses, but she asked us, what do we teach? I boldly say, I teach music. And she straightened me out immediately. You teach students music. And that made a big difference in your approach. You teach people, but you have to be sensitive to. Although you teach music, you teach students, music to students. And so that was that became the founding, the philosophy and ground of my life. I'm a teacher first. They call me a composer, a pianist, and all the other things, preservationist, but I am a teacher, and a good one, or was a good one. No, but that's where it all comes. I tell you, and it's my students. I am who I am because of my students, not because of me.
World and your dedicated service to others. It is my pleasure to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters. Congratulations.